The story, A Retrieved Reformation, is written by the famous American short story writer O. Henry. O. Henry is the pseudonym or pen name of William Sidney Porter. The story is about a character reformation of a person called Jimmy Valentine. Now we discuss who is this Jimmy Valentine. Jimmy Valentine is a notorious safe cracker. That means he is a thief, he is a burglar. He is very good at cracking safes. By the time the story starts, he was imprisoned and he was serving his sentence for 10 months for the burglary he has done at a particular place called Springfield. He received punishment of imprisonment for 4 years actually, but after 10 months of imprisonment, he received pardon from the governor of the state. The next day, he was to be released from the jail. The warden called him and said, Jimmy, you are not very bad person at heart. So don't crack safes and live straight. It is the advice, piece of advice or instruction given by the warden of this prison. Anyway, Jimmy went out and he continued his old job again. He cracked safes at different places like Richmond, Indiana, particularly Logansport and Jefferson City. He got a lots of amount there and he left those places. These burglaries are to be inspected by the famous detective called Ben Price. Ben Price is the detective who caught him earlier also. He pretty well knew this man's, Jimmy Valentine's, way of stealing things. So he inspected all these places. He visited Richmond, he visited these Logansport and these Jefferson cities, all these places he visited and came to know for sure all these safes were broken by this man called Jimmy Valentine. So this time he was very much determined to catch this person. Anyway, Jimmy Valentine went to a village named Helmore and there he happened to see a beautiful woman. Her name was Annabel Adams. Now we can see who is this Annabel Adams. Annabel Adams is the daughter of the owner of a bank. The name of the bank is the Elmore's Bank. It's a famous bank in the surrounding villages, among the surrounding villages, of course. Anyway, he liked that girl very much and he wanted to marry Annabel, but he wanted to marry her in a fair and honest way. So he did not select any kind of a wrong way of doing things in her case. So he went to a particular hotel called Planters Hotel and he registered himself with the name Ralph D. Spencer and he informed the people that he came to visit Elmore in search of a suitable location for his business. Everyone believed him and for some time he thoroughly visited all the surrounding places and came to know that shoe business will be a flourishing business there in the surroundings. There was no shoe store at Elmore, exclusive shoe store at Elmore. So he started a shoe store, and within a year, his business flourished and he became a rich man. He had many friends there. And besides that, he won the respect of the community also. And above all, he met Annabel Adams and he got engaged to her. And at this point of time, both Jimmy Valentine and Annabel Adams are going to be married within 2 weeks. That was the situation there. On the other hand, Ben Price, the detective, he was thoroughly searching for this man, Jimmy Valentine. And this Jimmy Valentine had one particular thing left with him, which is with him from the previous years. That was his famous burglary toolkit. He wanted to get rid of this. He wanted to forget his past completely. So one day he wrote a letter to his friend. His name was Billy. He wrote a letter to Billy saying that he wanted to present this toolkit to him, and he gave up his old job of cracking safes, and he had an honest living, and he got engaged to this Annabel Adams, and he liked the girl very much. And then he strongly decided not to continue his old job under any circumstances. So that's why he wanted to give this suitcase away to others. So he asked Billy in that letter to come to a particular place called Little Rock. And after 1 day or 2 days, he was about to meet Mr. Billy. He took his suitcase and he started going to that particular place called Little Rock. But he was called by Mr. Adams, the owner of the Elmore Bank. Mr. Adams was very much interested in showing a particular new safe vault in his bank. So it was a special safe vault. He wanted to show them, or show this particular vault to each and every person. So he invited Mr. Jimmy Valentine because this Jimmy Valentine is going to marry his own daughter, Annabel Adams, in 2 weeks. So Jimmy Valentine had to go there with his suitcase in his hand. He entered the bank, and all the family members were there. Who are the family members? There was Adams and Annabel and this Jimmy Valentine. Besides all these members, Mr. Adams has another daughter who got already married. She had two children. The names of these two children are, the first one is May. She was a 9-year-old girl. And the second one was Agatha. She was a 5-year-old girl. Both of them were also present in the bank. As all the members were watching, Mr. Adams demonstrated or showed how this new vault would work and what kind of special door it has. The door has three knobs, three bolts, and a timer clock, and it's a special kind of a safe. He wanted to show this particular safe vault to all the members. So, in his curiosity or in his interest, out of this interest, he was speaking about this particular new safe vault, and almost all the people were listening. And Jimmy also, he was not very much interested, but he was also listening because he was about to go to this little rock and he wanted to hand over this Baghdad's suitcase to his friend immediately. Meanwhile, one unexpected thing happened. What was the thing? The two children, May and Agatha, were playing, and suddenly Agatha entered that vault, and May shut the door, and she was locked. And as this was a new safe, and it would not be opened immediately, the timer had to be set. The bolts had a different set. So the old man, Mr. Adams, tried hard immediately, but he could not open it. So everyone became panic. They were panic stricken. Nobody knows what to do, and everyone was frozen. And meanwhile, a small thing happened. Mr. Ben Price, who was in thorough search of Mr. Jimmy Valentine, also entered the bank. He stood at the counter of the teller of the bank, and he was examining what was going on in the bank around. Now he was watching what this Jimmy Valentine could do. But Jimmy Valentine was passing for Ralph D. Spencer, and what this Spencer could do, he was watching from a distance. So everyone was crying here near the walls. The mother was uncontrollable. She became hysterical almost. At that time, Annabel asked this Ralph D. Spencer, alias Jimmy Valentine, to do something to save this girl, Agatha. So Jimmy Valentine was in trouble now because if he opened his toolbox and if he opens the safe, what would happen? Everyone will doubt his character, or some people definitely confirm that he was a burglar, definitely. So, whether to do it or not, he was in dilemma for some time. But ultimately, finally, he decided to save the girl, though his identity was revealed. And immediately, he forgot everything and he became the famous Jimmy Valentine again. And he started working with his tools. Within a few minutes, he would open the safe and he saved the girl. That's how everyone felt happy. There was a smile on everyone's face. And Jimmy Valentine now was sure that he would be caught. And he came out, and there he saw that man, the detective, Ben Price. And Jimmy was very much sure that this Ben Price would catch him. But Ben Price pretended that he did not recognize this Jimmy Valentine.